We're punching it because we're queens.
I'm such a queen.
I unmuted. I know, that's a rookie mistake. Yesterday I forgot to unmute. Haven't made that mistake in months. So, yeah. Never again.
I can't make that promise. I will sometimes mess that up. I see experienced streamers who like do it every day mess it up.
It's true.
It's just the way they do.
Hi guys! Hello and welcome to the, which installment of Punchy Book Club is this?
5th?
Is it 5th?
Well, okay, we had Killing Joke. We had Old Man Logan.
We didn't talk about Killing Joke.
No? No, you didn't. Sorry. Year 1.
Year 1.
Year 1. V for Vendetta. Old Man Logan. Rat Queens.
Sandman.
And Sandman.
So this is 5th. Cathy does look amazing today. Spent extra time getting prepped.
I dyed my hair invisible.
Yeah. It's the hottest new trend. We have John as our special guest today because very last minute, Cathy messaged me to say unfortunately she wouldn't be able to make it. She did type up her thoughts on the novel, so we're going to be talking a little bit about that. Let's chat. Rat Queens, Volume 1, Sass and Sorcery.
By?
I don't know how to pronounce the author's name. Curtis J. Is it Weeb or Webb?
Weeby.
Weeby?
Yeah.
Oh, Curtis J. Weeby and Rock Up Church.
And then Cat.
And Cat.
Cat looks so unimpressed by Rat Queens.
She is the most unimpressed cat
Do you not like Rat Queens?
of all time.
Because let's get this out of the way. I liked Rat Queens.
Oh, dudes. I have to give an extra special shout out to Mr. Badmech because I believe it was him who first recommended Rat Queens to me, and this was way back when I was asking for graphic novel recommendations. And so I read this a while ago because he just kept saying, Liz, I really think you're gonna love it. And I was like, all right. So I read it and I loved it, and that's why I was really happy to suggest it for book club so we can read it again and John could read it because you'd never read it, right?
I had not read it before Punchy Book Club.
Punchy Book Club, bringing Rat Queens together. And Cathy says that she absolutely loved reading this. So Cathy also really enjoyed Rat Queens.
So there you go. That's Punchy Book Club.
That's it. Bye, everyone. Really great to have you all here. Aria should have read it. You should. I strongly recommend it. It's a very quick read. I read it again this morning before we started. The Crosshair says, out of possibly all of the novels that you've read, Joker's off the chart, this is your favorite. That is awesome to hear. It's... I don't know. What is there to say about it?
Well, first off...
What is there to say?
I mean, there are a bunch of different comics out there that definitely throw in a few inspirations from games like D&D. This is definitely one of them alongside such comics as Order of the Stick. But this one keeps its gaming humor relatively light in that it only kind of has at the very end, like when they say next issue +5 attack to all Garys kind of thing.
Against all damn it, Gary.
Damn it, Gary.
And I love that they're talking about looting.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, why'd you send us on the quest with no loot? Goblins never have good loot.
Like it's very clear that this is a D&D inspired universe, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, even though D&D itself is inspired by other fantasy, this really is like meant to feel like a D&D campaign, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Especially because they're like Palisades, adventuring bands. So
yeah, just different bands of mercs. And they go off and they're assigned the quests, and some of them return, and our heroes return, which is very, very...
I mean, are we unlocking spoilers for this?
I think yes. Guys, heads up, there are going to be spoilers for this. I do not believe that knowing these spoilers will lessen your enjoyment of the book. That is my personal opinion. I wouldn't say that any of these are like mind-blowingly shocking.
No.
But if you do not like spoilers and have not read it, proceed no further in this stream. Mute us and we will send hearts this way. Mistrich learned something neat. Looking to buy this. Amazon has what's basically a comic Netflix for $5 a month. Tons of free comics, including this one. What? That is super cool.
That may only be in the United States. It may have extended to Canada at this point, but it's worth checking out.
I'm gonna have to check.
It's worth having a look.
Crosshair, yeah, exactly. All the commentary and one-liners are very much what you'd expect. There's some things, especially whenever Violet tries to say some kind of badass paladin line. I was like, oh, I've been that person trying to say a badass one-liner, and then it just doesn't come out the way you want. And then someone else says something, and you're like, yeah, nice, nice. Like when Braga says, what does she say? She says, orcs only speak the language of blood, and I'm the whole fucking alphabet.
Yeah. So, are we going to start on, what, writing? Story? What are we looking at here?
Well, a really prepared Liz would have written out a series of discussion points.
But what would an actual Liz do?
An actual Liz will just wing it. Because an actual Liz was not prepared for today, as well as she could have done. So let's start by talking about the story. Absolutely.
All right, well, I mean, we already kind of discussed where the influences came from. One of the things that I really enjoyed about the first issue, right, because these are 5 issues contained in this trade paperback, is that we kind of started not quite in media res. We didn't start right in the thick of action, but we came very, very close, right? Like, there is no long introduction where we get to know each of them first before we hop into it. No, we go right into it. Like, it's go time.
Yep.
And we get to learn about them along the way, and I really appreciated that because it makes it a lot more interesting to get to know the characters once we've seen them do some cool things.
Exactly. You learn a lot about their individual personalities by how they speak and what they do, as opposed to what other people say about them, which I always enjoy reading. I like discovering things for myself and not being told everything. Personally.
There isn't this first trade paperback is really though about introducing the characters because we don't really get a ton of story through. Essentially, we go out. Turns out that somebody's been hired to kill all the rampaging, adventuring bands in the city. We find out who it is. It's a very basic sort of setup, but we've dropped a whole lot of hints along the way, like Sawyer's past and what relationship he has to the Merchants Guild, and we have the various different sort of problems that each of the 4 Rat Queens kind of have to deal with as well.
Exactly. And that comes through with conversation that they have with each other. There's the flashback that Dee has towards the end, so you get a little sense of that. And then there's the fact that other characters like Violet's twin brother, Barry, show up, and you start to learn more about their past. But then they don't actually dwell on it all too much. It affects what they do, but it doesn't define what they do, which I think is pretty cool. I forgot about these introductions, so they're just 1 page, like really quick intros to each of the queens, which I love. I've conjured up a little fuck you. Hannah. In that sense, I guess that was a really brief introduction to each of them, but then the true intro is the brawl when they've destroyed the street. That's it reminded me of Exaltwitch, I'm not gonna lie. Where they end up causing a lot of damage. Somebody says, how is it that every time I'm with a rat queen, someone ends up dead or a building gets destroyed?
And that's that.
And that's Exaltwitch. So.
My favorite queen was Betty.
I love Betty.
Kinda.
Oh my god, is she amazing.
The Hannah's character is one that I can definitely appreciate. The only ding that I could give to it is that it's sort of what I would expect. Hannah doesn't surprise me yet. I imagine that's coming, right? You can't have surprises for all 4 characters right at the start. But Hannah is sort of like the very stereotypical, smooth talking,
I mean, she's Kristen Ritter.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to
The first time I read it, I was like, yep. This isn't if we're casting celebrities, of course, but if we're casting from within our circle, she's Cathy.
It's like the characterizations of all these. I mean, we're also kind of looking at the reason why this feels like gaming a bit is because everybody talks using modern sensibilities, right? Like,
yeah.
It was sort of like that way in Exaltwitch, right? We didn't affect speech for characters except for a couple of the NPCs, but they spoke with modern kind of sass, and there was no kind of flowery etiquette that we were going to throw in there. These people are down and dirty, and that's kind of the point. Like, this book feels like it's been dragged through the mud a bit to give it some character.
What I love about it is the fact that it's a down and dirty book with a bunch of women. Because sometimes, when it comes to female characters and combat, they're kind of treated they're treated very carefully. Everything's a lot cleaner. Everything feels a little bit safer. That's not the case all the time, but I do happen to notice, I feel that I notice it a little bit more than when it comes to male characters. So to see something that's just so, like, unapologetically dirty in more ways than one, with a bunch of females in the in the lead, pleased me.
So I have a question for you about this. I mean,
yes.
I'm a huge fan of the all-female party. Like,
yeah.
I think that's really good, and I really like the fact that they're presented as an all-female party without totally removing their femininity, but also making sure that they're all totally badass.
Yeah.
And I think that's absolutely great. Like, they're hard drinking, hard drugging, hard fucking,
sexing. Yep.
Right. Like, they've got all that stuff. My question is, did it seem like there was just a little too much emphasis on the idea that they could be like, oh, you shot my favorite boob? And, like, I felt like there was maybe one too many references to, like, specifically, like, female references, kind of like a, hey, here, like, look, like, we're totally talking about women here, that kind of could have been scaled back a bit.
I wouldn't necessarily say so, because it's done with men all the time with the shooting and the dick. Yeah. I can think of one instance in particular. But that's done for comic relief.
Right.
So I think that rather than it being, because yes, they are out explicitly stating, like, my female body parts, you heard it, you fiend. No. But that's a thing. It's a thing that's done with men, and I think that I thought it was funny.
I mean, it was funny. It's not really a complaint.
It didn't bother me, I guess.
No, it didn't bother me either. I was just wondering whether it was just one too many. Like, did it seem like it was pushing it a little too far out there? And I wanted to get your opinion of it, just because I'm not, I'm used to having everybody pander to me. So,
personally, it did not bother me.
Okay.
It did not. I just want to jump into some things that Crosshair's been saying. Yeah, your favorite line.
Yep.
Cover your ears, people. Nobody calls my friends cunts except me. Oh, boy. Comedy. Hi, Lo.
Hello, Lo. Hello, Lo.
Crosshair preferred that aspect over doing the girl power thing too much. It fit the style.
Well, it definitely fit the style. And I don't mind girl power. I think it would have seemed out of place here because of the style, right? Like, this is not a, like, girls rule type thing, and we didn't see that.
Yeah.
It was just more like, this is who we are.
Yeah. They're just living life. They're yeah. And I love, it feels like they, misstretch. I think the too far out there applies across the board, but it fits with what I'd expect from a party. I was thinking, man, I wish there weren't so much drug use, and then I realized when my players went to Yushan in my Exalted game, the first thing was, there's celestial cocaine. Can we? Yeah, it's they do push it far. They do, and I mean that is exactly as you said. It's something that's very common when it comes to RPGs. Everything is done in the extreme. So, you can make any situation an extreme situation. It's just a question of what people gravitate towards. And
but admittedly, we didn't see a ton of like, it wasn't like one of the characters was constantly strung out on coke.
No, but they do bring it up quite a bit, especially Betty. Betty's so cute. Oh shoot, I had something in my head. It's gone.
No.
It's gone.
So in terms of the art style, when it comes to we can talk about the art as a whole a little later on, but when it comes to the art style as it pertains to the fact that this is a book that's specifically about 4 women, there's an awful lot of pinup influences that we've seen here, like not throughout the entire thing, but like the cover art and the opening introductions and even some of the poses during the book itself is very reminiscent and inspired by like old 50s 60s kind of pinup.
Yep.
Even 40s, like World War II inspired, and that didn't cheapen it for me. I felt like it sort of celebrated and glorified the characters because it wasn't being presented as this is for the male gaze. It was presented as this is who they are.
Yeah.
And that's a bit, it's a very fine line sometimes to be able to put that through, but considering that this is a male writer and I believe also a male artist.
Yeah.
I can't quite tell.
I believe it is.
I mean, his name's Rock, so I would assume.
Yeah. There was a woman editor.
Right.
But that's it.
That's a fine line to trot, and I feel like they executed that quite well.
They really did. They really did. It's, you do, Arya, absolutely. Yeah, it's difficult with things like Wonder Woman. There have been a lot of debate, a lot of recent comments made as well about how because she is a strikingly beautiful woman,
she is
that somehow lessens her impact as a feminist icon.
Right.
The idea that if she is beautiful, if she is feminine, that she cannot be strong. And so I think that it's very important with films like Wonder Woman and with things like Rat Queens to address it, to not. I think it's very important to show a combination. They don't all have to be Ellen Ripley. They don't all have to be. I'll use her as an example. I would say that in Alien, she kind of, because she's surrounded by men, she tends more towards the masculine, the traditional masculine side in terms of her behavior, because that is how she asserts her power and her strength, and that is totally fine and valid. But I think it's also really great when they show different depictions of that, so that it's not all strong female characters are created equal.
Hashtag not all strong female characters.
Hashtag, yes. Hashtag.
You mentioned Wonder Woman, and I'm going to diverge a little bit into that for a second.
And then we'll go to chat and see what they've been saying.
Wonder Woman was recently an ambassador for the United Nations.
Yeah.
And there was a huge outcry about it, specifically saying that why would you choose a bondage-inspired male gaze attracting comic character to be an international ambassador for women. And it is true that when Wonder Woman first came out, she spent a lot of time tied up, and that was because her creator was in a polyamorous relationship with 2 women where they really liked to engage in bondage. And this was like, they started coming out with rules very specifically saying, okay, so you can have her tied up in these many pages of your books, but you can't kind of go too far, because it was very, and like the lasso, the bracers, like a lot of it inspired by the BDSM community. Problem is that they didn't do her many favors going on. For a while, she was the secretary for the Justice League. But that ignores the fact of who Wonder Woman is now. the reinventions of her that have now placed her, instead of being a like, oh, I'm a dumb girl who doesn't know her place in man's world, and now it's literally, I fuck your man's world. Like, I will try for the world that I want. That she's become a different character. And she has, you can even see that in the reimagining of her outfit in the most recent movie. She's not wearing go-go boots, she's wearing greaves. Same amount of skin being shown. In fact, you could argue that the greaves show a little more, because you can see her calf. But now the reason she's wearing them is for protection, for armor. She's wearing a skirt now alongside her outfit, but those are armored plates. They're not like, it's not like a frilly like magical girl outfit. She's got a breastplate now instead of just a corset. So yeah, her outfit is still not like the most like, beefed up armor that you could possibly put on, but like at least it has a function now. So yes, she's still attractive, but the clothes that she's wearing are made for very specific reasons.
They have use.
Exactly. And I feel like that we've got that a little bit in here. I mean, the characters don't wear that much armor.
Except for Violet.
Violet does, and I love the fact that the armor breaks and she's like, fuck, now I have to get it fixed.
She's like, I just got it fixed.
Like, I just got this fixed, and I really liked that. But they're not dressed necessarily to attract the male gaze specifically, but they are dressed in such ways as we can appreciate, okay, this is what I would expect them to wear. Dee is wearing an outfit that's very much sort of like a standard kind of... it's an inspired sort of not voodoo, but a mystic sort of outfit. And Hannah's wearing an outfit that you would expect a mage to wear, light, loose, that you can move around in. But she's still essentially wearing a corset. But it's okay. So
she'd be chilling like a villain.
I like villains.
All right, let's scroll up a little bit. Let's see what people are saying. So Laurent, this was in reference to an earlier point, but adventurers live an extreme lifestyle, and they're kind of rock stars in certain interpretations of sex, drugs, and XP. I love it. Absolutely. So Crosshair, okay, so talking about art, we can switch to speaking about art. Too. We can always jump back to story and costumes. Wonderful. This style is totally my style. Helps with the whole favorite novel thing, but one aspect you didn't like too much, the combat scenes. It could have been a bit more subtle. Ironically, a touch too messy for you. In short, great art, touch unclear in parts. Okay, I want to come back to that for sure. Now we're talking about Wonder Woman armor. Yeah, historically accurate with the shield. Prefers love. Yeah, and the idea of Laurent, it's true. Ancient Greek warriors had very little armor. And, when we consider the Mascara, it would have been mighty hot, so...
Well, it's actually something that cosplayers are very familiar with, right? Like, you could dress up as your favorite characters who are completely decked out in armor, and you'll pass out in
or
5
you'll
minutes.
die in the con,
Right? Like, so that does make a lot of sense. I don't know, how do you feel about the Crosshairs talk about the combat art?
I think it's very interesting, especially because the last... I still have it here. The one that we read last time was Old Man Logan, which was also very, very messy when it came to the fighting. I will say, Crosshair, I think I loved the combat scenes, and actually I want to just read out...
I'll grab a combat scene.
Oh, great, thank you. I want to read what Cathy wrote about combat scenes as well. She said that the fights are kick-ass, and she really loved the gratuitous blood and gore when fighting. That goes back to my earlier point about how... in the combat with the female characters, they were getting fucked up. They were getting destroyed, especially Violet. And I like that. I mean, she is the fighter character, so she should be in the middle of the shit. I do see where you're coming from, though, when certain aspects are a little unclear. There are certain things that happen during combat, and you have to take a second to figure out what it is. Who shot that arrow, who's getting their head sliced into, where did the attack come from. I liked the frenetic nature of it all, and I liked that it was messy, and I liked that it was unclear, but I also completely see where you're coming from.
So here's an example. Right, so we've got, this is, of course, the Obsidian Darkness here to clean your excrement holes, and then discovering a different thing. Now, admittedly, this is an example of a splash page here, which is supposed to be very kind of obvious of, you know, what's going on. We've cut open his head, and there's an assassin there. I mean, it comes down to shaky cam.
Oh, yeah.
So shaky cam in movies and television is something that a lot of people like to bash, and rightfully so, because there's two ways to use shaky cam. In one way, you're using it because it's a very easy way for you to get around the fact that you can't show the action cleanly because your actors aren't skilled enough at fighting, or it would cost too much in special effects, or it's just hard to edit that kind of footage, because it is. And if you've got shaky cam going on, then it's hard. But the other reason you use shaky cam is to imply that there's chaos in battle, that it's not always clear what's happening, and that, you know, you can only sort it out when it's over. Mm-hmm. People say they're doing it for the second, but
it tends to be more
the first. But I'm actually, because in comics you have a bit more time to sort of space it out, mm-hmm. and I sort of like what we were getting here in that if you were scanning through it quickly, the battle was chaotic, and if you slowed down and really kind of pieced together each panel, then you could figure out what was going on. Both are legitimate.
In a way, you could choose how you wanted to absorb the battle scenes.
Yeah,
you could either like get a general sense and gloss over it all and get that chaos, or you could, you know, pick apart what was happening piece by piece.
But I appreciate the art style in this being quite gory and being quite kind of explicit, because that really sets the tone of if we've got these women who are hard drinking, smoking, fucking, all of that stuff, it would seem weird if combat just seemed tame.
Yeah.
By comparison, compared to say a comic like Princeless, which is another book where we're essentially taking female adventurers and putting them through, but this one's destined. It's destined for it's made specifically targeting a younger audience, and so the violence is a lot more toned down. It's a lot more Saturday morning cartoon, and in that case, what we're looking at is to maintain a sense of style throughout. This book needed to be rough.
Yep.
Because the characters are rough. And the art, therefore, also needs to be rough. Now, if the paneling could be a bit better, that's another question entirely, but I actually really liked the use of panels that we've got here. We don't have like 12 panels on each page. The panels are dynamic. We sometimes enter the bleed, which is nice.
I was going to say, I think there's only one instance in the entire book where I don't know what it's called, but where you use both pages. You go across the double page rather than reading in the
it's
columns.
A double splash.
So there's, I think, only one instance of a double splash, and that is just after Violet has been really, really injured, and Hannah loses her shit and starts attacking the orc. So this, all of a sudden, and it was jarring for my eyes actually, because I was used to reading down, and all of a sudden the comic forced me to read across, and I liked that because Hannah has also lost control.
This would actually be a spread really cool that you're referring to, because a double splash would be one image.
Okay, so then it's a spread. Yeah. Perfect.
Betty's description of the office is a perfect example of how I really liked the paneling work that Rock used in this.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to hop on to what Mistrich said. There's obviously the rarity of seeing an all-female fantasy, but even rarer that you almost never see visible wounds on a female character. Even if you look at Game of Thrones, the women who do end up involved in fights, despite the violence shown against women overall, they don't receive the same scars and wounds that men do.
Yeah.
Absolutely true.
It's true. But that's because attractiveness is seen as a part of a woman's worth.
Yep.
More so than men. And also, men are attractive with scars. It makes them look like they've been battle-hardened. Women look like they've been abused.
Yep.
I'm not saying this is how I want. I'm just saying that's how it's perceived.
No, I mean...
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice, Aria. Yeah, the yearbook. Hey, thank you for the follow, Bullerin. Thank you for the follow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Lo. I really loved that part with Betty as well. Yeah, I loved how each of their abilities, it seemed like the art style and the paneling shifted a little bit depending on which one was using their powers at which time.
Mm-hmm.
The only exception to this, I would say, because we didn't really get to see her do too much, is D. But it feels like there was enough of a hook at the end that I think we're going to see her character and her abilities explored a lot more in Volume 2.
I did like how her healing
I love
hurts. Like,
Yeah.
there's something really nice about keeping them vulnerable while they're healing. Like, you have to lie down and give it time. And we poured all the healing we could into her, and we'll see if it works. That's one of the issues that I actually have with healing in games, D&D, Changeling, all that kind of stuff, is that I can beat somebody to hell, and then you take away any drama because you can be like, bing! Now you have all your hit points back, and they just get up and they're like, all right, let's go. Bleh. And they subverted that here, and I really appreciated that.
Mm-hmm. Link, thank you so much for the sub. Really appreciate it. This is the second month that you are a Team Punchy Prime subscriber.
Well done, Link. Punch something in, not your monitor, but punch something
Not
in
something
celebration.
that will get you arrested.
Wow.
Words to live by.
I have to think of myself as a goddess.
Oh my god, that was fantastic. When they were like, yeah, how do you access these powers if you don't believe in a deity? She's like, I'm goddess enough.
Yeah. That line, I was just like, all right, I know what I'm doing the next time I'm playing a cleric. Yeah, it's fantastic, and that's actually an example of something that you can get away with in a female character and less in a male character. The notion of thinking oneself as a goddess is an already established kind of feeling, whereas thinking of yourself as a god is seen as narcissistic. So take that while you can, like, just go for it, because that's a wonderful line.
Yep. I think she gets the pass while everyone gets scenes showing off their skills. Betty didn't just pick a lock. Hannah didn't just shoot magic skills.
I also really liked how Violet has a beard, but she shaves it.
I loved it too. And I loved her little comment at the end. She's like, okay, what, now it's trendy to shave your beard? Like, I did this as a statement.
No. So I saw, I looked at some reviews, and one of them mentioned that there was a celebration of all kinds of body types in this. But I did have one thing, is that I noticed that for the most part, anyone who was considered obese was a villain.
Well, what about, say, Braga?
Except, well, yeah, like Braga's, yeah, okay, I'll give you Braga. That's true. But like what interested me was that the two main villains in this book, which you could say, I guess, would be the attacking troll and the merchant, were both very large.
Yep.
So I have less sympathy with the idea of like all body types are accepted here, but the thing is you can also get a pass because if you're an adventurer, one would assume that you probably spend a lot of time exercising.
Yeah.
So that's gonna change your body type no matter what. I don't think the shopkeep was the main villain.
Betty. Or not Betty.
Bernadette. Old Lady Bernadette.
That bitch Bernadette.
I'm
What they call her?
39. Old Lady
Old
Bernadette.
Lady Bernadette. Holy shit. Yeah, it's true.
It isn't a huge complaint, but it is something that I think that we're a little quick to kind of be like, all body types, except it's not actually all body types.
Yeah.
But that's okay, right? Like I do think that there's a certain amount of overcompensation that you can do, and like you can't...
Especially when it's based on D&D and following certain traditions,
right,
shall we say, in how different characters are portrayed. Yeah, in different classes, especially. What else did Cathy have to say? Oh yeah, so she, just to go back to the battle thing, she liked that they actually got injured and needed to repair and heal. Not only does this emphasize the D&D nature of the story, but too many times have we seen hero stories where the hero is rarely badly injured. She loved the art style, the clean lines and vibrant colors, Also, the color palettes used for certain storylines really heighten the mood. Oh yeah, we should talk about this. So many of the panels involving Sawyer lean towards a blue, green, gray hue. And for Cathy, this enhanced the brooding nature of the character with the darker color scheme.
Color scheme is often really underlooked. I will agree that I think they do a really good job of that. Part of the reason why I think you see Sawyer in that color palette a lot is because you see him in the jail a lot.
Yeah.
But it is true that he is given a more muted tone often. And I appreciate that. If you've seen, this won't spoil anything for anybody, but just recently Netflix came out with The Defenders, and each of the 4 have their own color scheme, and it's actually quite visible if you're watching it. Luke Cage has yellows, Jessica Jones has blues, Daredevil has reds, and Iron Fist has greens. And I mean, Iron Fist should have nothing because you shouldn't anyway. But there's colors fade. Interesting. I mean, I was considering that at one point. Crosshair, actually, I was considering getting like those color changing lights that I could control.
Oh shit!
Depending on what's happening. Thing is, I'd have to test it, and I didn't want to buy them without knowing the fight. So I'll have to see. But
I thought Crosshair was saying like just describing a change in mood. Which one did you mean, Bunny? Did you mean like descriptors, or did you mean actually seeing the shift in light? Because that reminds me of what Quinn does with Swallows of the South.
yeah,
He describes, he's like, okay, so we cut to an establishing shot of the detective agency.
Yeah, he very
and
much
then,
describes things.
We
as
linger
a
for a
script.
second on the door, on the sign on the door, and then we make our way in. Like, it's very cinematic.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's possible to cross there. The capabilities
cool.
there. I would just actually have to look into it to find out.
That's awesome.
We're always looking to improve. Yeah, no, the color palettes in this, the use of art and color in this is very good. Who's the colorist? So Rock probably
must
did
be
the
Rock
colors.
Upchurch, yeah.
So, oftentimes in comics, you'll find that you'll have pencils, traces, and then colors, right? Like you can actually divide the work among several different people, and that's not evident here. Here, it seems like you have one person basically controlling the look of the whole thing as it goes through, and that means that we also have a very consistent kind of style, but it means that you get to play with those color palettes without as much effort, because you don't have to kind of describe it to another artist and be like, pay attention to this, because you know what you're doing. And I thought that it was well done throughout.
Yeah, it was very cohesive. There were no moments that jumped out at me as being like, this doesn't belong. Like the moment that surprised me the most with that one spread during the combat, that was intentional. That was very intentional. It was supposed to feel jarring. It was supposed to take you out of it for a second, and I thought it was very effective. The like, look at Betty, like how cute she is for her drinks. Like, oh my god.
When was this released?
This is a good question. 2015. Oh, the 4th printing, August 2015.
So not terribly long.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I also can tell that there's some influences here. Hannah is very much influenced by Azula, for instance.
Oh, yeah.
Her look.
Oh, and then Bunny's saying 2003? Where'd you get that? Yeah, the only date that mentions for me is 2015, but I think that's just this particular. Best New Series 2013, IGN said.
Yeah, I have a feeling like 2013.
Is...
I can't type!
Ooh, yeah, the color scheme helps you understand who's the most important character and focus on the scene. Yep, for sure. During the jail scene, just because you brought it up, the first time I read it, so Hannah is in a jail cell and Sawyer is on the other side talking to her. Sawyer is the captain of the guard? Is that his official title? I can't remember.
Sawyer's the captain of the guard, yeah, I think that's...
Yeah, so on this page, so it starts out with, you know, the two of them sitting on either side there. The first time I read it, I thought he was in jail too.
Yep.
I was like, oh, he's been locked up as well. And then I realized he is imprisoned, but inside.
Oh my.
It's a metaphor. So.
Yeah, it is a more independent work. This is through Image. It's not Marvel or DC, where you can pay artists absolutely nothing because then they can claim that they got to draw Batman. So.
Ben would draw Batman for free. Ben would pay someone to let him draw Batman. So keep that in mind. Emotional prisons, exactly. It's a prison in his soul. Oh yeah, the assassin. Yes, exactly. So here you have this huge hook for his past, and it was just dropped in there and not really addressed. Like
Yeah.
he says, you know, oh Betty, like, I guess you were wondering about this. She's like, we all have secrets.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, if there's only one complaint that I have about this thing is that it kind of makes me want to read more, which is not much of a complaint. But I also feel like there isn't a ton that happened in the first 5 issues, which is a relatively slow start. Now, since this seems to be an ongoing series, I don't think it has a specific definite end.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's okay. It's not like this is going to be a 12-issue arc and then you're done. But I kind of wish that we could get into some more, and it looks like we will. So it's not really that much of a complaint.
Hells to the yes. There are, to the best of my knowledge, there are 3 volumes. I have volume 2, and I have not read it yet. So I'm going to be getting on that, and I'm going to order volume 3.
I would never buy this novel in the store, but now I just might have to. Well, I do a lot of reading of comics now on my iPad, actually. My issue with comics is that I hate floppies. So, like, the individual issues,
yeah.
I don't like them. And I know that people collect them, and
Are those called floppies?
some people call them that. But I much prefer, like, the format of a trade paperback because, like, I can pick this up, and I also know that usually you get one full cycle of story in one of these.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're not... Sure, there's hooks at the end of this, but, like, I know...
Yeah.
That I'm going to get a whole bunch out of this.
Yeah, it didn't feel weird assigning this as something to read for book club because I knew that even though it was a volume, it was a part of a larger whole, it still had a complete arc to a certain degree.
But that's something that I have difficulty with. So even for series that I really enjoy, like Saga, I either have to read them in trade paperback form or I have to get them in a digital format because I just hate having to maintain all of those books. So.
Can you imagine? We're like, okay, guys, Punchy Book Club is now Rat Queen's book club, and we just read them all. We contact them. We're like, you guys have to write these faster. My book club's demanding it. I would love to look at Volume 2. Maybe not next month, because we have an idea for next month, but at some point in the future, if people are down. Especially because it's such a quick read.
Oh, yeah.
Such a quick read.
Oh, yeah.
I reread it in like an hour.
Yep.
This is good, Miss Rich.
Well, I'm actually really pleased that you're doing graphic novels, specifically because it's not a huge commitment to get somebody to say, like, look, if you want to follow along with the conversation, you totally can. It will take an hour of your time, as opposed to, like, we're going to read The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, and I hope you have a lot of hours to devote to this, because it'll take you a while to get through. I mean, it's a quick read because it's a good book, but if you wake up Sunday morning and you're like, oh shit, it's Punchy Book Club time, you can get that book out of the way. You can chop that thing down and then come in.
Yep. Yeah, and I love that graphic novels are, especially, I try to find ones that are easy to get physical copies and digital copies. So simple enough to order off of Amazon. I try not to get any of the, rare out of print ones for people. I try to make them accessible, and yeah, if you haven't read it, you can just drop by and take part in the conversation. And I love that you guys are enjoying it too, because it's expanding my horizons as well. I did not read graphic novels before 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And now I love them, and I pretty much always have a graphic novel and a novel on the go.
What novel do you have right now?
Right now I'm reading Survivor.
Oh, right.
By Chuck
Chuck
Palahniuk.
Palahniuk.
And that's for the other book club that I'm in. It never ends.
Book clubs.
Hello, Caesar, you. Thank you for the follow.
Sandman and Rat Queens.
Yes.
Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream.
Sandman was really fun. I've read Preludes and Nocturnes, and then we read Endless Nights, which Cathy recommended as a really good standalone Sandman volume. I'm very pleased that we read those ones.
That's what put gaming on the map.
Sure is. It sure is. And where would we be if it hadn't?
Well, we would have a lot less gaming.
Damn. Sandman was fun, interesting, and oh my
time.
god, yeah, there were definitely some parts that were more frightening. Okay, what else did Cathy have to say? Oh, so she was talking about, the interpersonal relationships, within the circle, the party themselves. So, the fact. Okay, yeah. So she was also saying that in terms of their problems, they can be split down the middle. So Betty and Hannah both have issues with romantic relationships. Dee and Violet both have family issues. They're running away from something in their past that is family related, and we're not quite sure what it is. But Violet stole something? Ouch! Why are you hurting me? Why are you hurting me? Ugh. All right, lie down.
Hashtag Chaos Cat.
But I did love how they disagreed and they yelled at each other and they got into fights. But when the shit went down and Violet got, really hurt, Hannah lost her shit to defend her, even though the two of them had been at each other's throats for most of the book. I think that's pretty cool. And nobody calls my friends cunts except me.
What if I...
Hannah.
Hey, Scott!
No! Also, Crosshair and I were discussing, so it is decided. Cathy is playing Hannah. I am playing Violet. Charlotte is playing Betty. And Tamara is playing Dee.
Good casting.
So, it's happening. Netflix, get on it! I will chop off my legs and become a dwarf, but I will do this.
Except she's not that short for a dwarf.
No, but she is shorter than Hannah. I think Hannah's the
Yes, she
tallest
is.
one in the party.
I mean, it helps that Hannah also has hair up
Yeah,
to...
Hannah's like,
In fact, it wasn't actually made clear to me that she was a dwarf until later on.
when they're talking about the beards.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Aria. I would absolutely be in that. And we could, Sean could choreograph fights. John, you want to be in it? Who would you play? Who would you want to play?
I'll be a Dave.
Yeah, which Dave?
I'll be a Dave. I don't care.
I think Lo would also want to be a Dave, I imagine. He seems to be angling for that.
I'll be Orc Dave.
You'll be Orc Dave?
Yeah, I'll be Orc Dave.
Means we gotta bang.
Yeah, sure. And I'll put some bluebirds in my beard.
Yay! Oh, those were so cute. The fact that they seem like they're part of the healing. Oh my
That
God.
is something that I will actually say I also appreciated, is that, like, there are half-orcs or orcs in the book, but they're not necessarily evil, which I've always kind of liked. But these are the Daves I know. These are the Daves I know.
Scott
These
is
are the
all
Daves
for
I know,
Daves.
I know.
No, Scott.
These are the
Scott,
Daves
you want
I
to be
know.
Gary? Damn it, Gary.
Damn it, Gary.
Shut up, Gary.
I hope Gary comes back.
I really hope Gary's a recurring character. Oh man. Yeah, we have a lot of dudes. A lot of dudes and not a lot of parts for the dudes. I'm fine with this.
Thank you for bringing up Bruce McCullough, Rock Pants. I appreciate it.
Hi, Rock Pants, by the way. I hadn't greeted you. Oh yeah, here are the Daves. 4 Daves. I have to say I don't really know people who resemble any of the Daves. So we'll stick a beard to your face.
Don't touch them, Dave.
We'll get you some. Oh, he has an owl sitting on his shoulder too.
Yep.
Oh, well, okay. Clearly the
brother
brother
ponies.
ponies, who I don't know why I'm just noticing this now. Oh, but God.
We can just get
we
Rob to
go.
play all 4 of them.
I'm thinking Ben, Julian, and Scott. Oh no, Fred has to be a brother pony. Fred can be that.
Yeah.
Fred can be this one. All right. Now Scott can be the Obsidian Darkness. Scott, you want to be a bunch of...
Yeah, Scott, you can be all of the Obsidian
you
Darkness.
can be the entire Obsidian Darkness.
Rip Obsidian Darkness.
Lo wants to be Dwarf Dave. So Lo can be Dwarf Dave.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, the brother ponies do all die, but we'll give them a little more time. You'll see a brother pony's origin story or something in our show.
I mean, they're tryhards anyway. We don't really want them around too long.
I do love all their little ponytails. 9.4.
Oh my.
This is the difficulty with us reading novels that we generally enjoy, because then we're talking about how much we like it, and then the book club ends up being an hour rather than 2. But I'm not even mad.
Not even mad.
I'm not even mad. This is how it should be. I'm wondering whether I should talk a little bit about next time.
I don't have a big rant to go on.
I know!
I don't have something to shit all over.
We don't have a Johnny V rant! Damn, man!
I'm here and I can't just, like, dumpster fire this thing.
Quick, John, say something controversial. No, don't.
I mean, what's with all the women in this book?
Oh, here we go. So the rest of it is just me putting on my boxing gloves and punching John in the face, and then you guys can gif it.
And I would let this happen.
Rant on the curtains then. Fuck the curtains. Oh, those curtains were like $2.
They've got a lot of cat hair on them.
Aria, yeah, you'd be surprised. Sandman, we had a lot to talk about because we had to work through each of the stories of the Endless. Yep, Miss Trich, exactly, right? Like, yeah, so I enjoyed it.
I'll be interested to revisit this.
Oh,
Come back
man.
in it, go through a couple more of the trades.
I'm so excited to read Volume 2. Did Cathy have anything else to say? Oh, she loved to see the different factions of adventurers and then have them come together at the end to fight and celebrate. That was nice. That was nice. It was like, fuck you, we're gonna fight you in the street. We're going off on quests, and I hope I loot more than you, but then we'll all drink together in the tavern afterwards. Very D&D. Cathy was saying that she just started a D&D campaign, which is very much like Rat Queens. There are a bunch of mercenaries, a bunch of female mercenaries. And I think she even said that the classes were similar, too.
Crosshair says, oh.
Oh. What is it, Bunny? Oh, okay. And actually, I liked how other characters pointed that out. Where they said, oh, the Rat Queens get special treatment. Or, oh, of course all the Rat Queens emerged unscathed.
Yeah. I get the feeling like we probably won't keep all 4 of them.
Really?
Not towards the end of the story, I imagine.
Aww.
You'll probably lose 1 or 2.
I hope they all survive. I'm okay with them being... The fight still felt high stakes enough that I was really worried for Violet when she got hurt. Especially because that's my character and I didn't want to be killed off in the first episode of our show.
You won't die.
Thanks, John.
Don't worry.
Thanks, John.
And I'm not just saying that because I'm Orc Dave.
That's our Orc Dave. Where are you going to get bluebirds to put in your beard? Where are you going to get a beard?
I can grow a beard, I just don't.
Could you grow an Orc Dave beard?
I've never tried.
I think you should try.
No, I really
I think
don't
Punchy
want
Book Club needs to see this
Oh,
happen.
God.
Next up, Rat Queen's cosplay. I have my Astra armor here.
I've made mistakes.
You have. Okay, let's talk about next time, and then if anybody remembers anything else that they want to share, throw it in the... Oh! Laurent, hold on. Laurent loves to see female characters that he would enjoy working with / being led by. Got that feeling here, and it was marvelous. Like Princess Leia all over again.
So Mr. Sh asks, do I think this works as a campaign setup? Do I think the
Oh.
flow of the plot and motives of the villains makes sense?
Oh, this is fun.
It's a slow campaign setup, but it's a decent one. D&D is kind of difficult that way, in that sometimes you have players who just like, they really just want to get to the next level as fast as they can. This wouldn't be one of those stories. There's a little too much baggage drawing everyone down, but that's good, right? Like, that's the kind of game I like to run. Baggage.
Bilbo Baggage.
But I would say, I would say that right now the plot is pretty simplistic, but I also recognize that there's a ton of mystery and unknown. So I can't say that it's bad simplistic, just that right now it's, we had somebody who hired assassins to get rid of you because you're annoying, which is not a huge story. But like towards the end, now we have some inkling that there's more to it, and we'll see. So, you know, like it's, I have a feeling like it's a good setup, a good start.
Yeah. I would agree.
Yeah.
If I was a player in this campaign and John was running it, I would be very curious to know about Tamara and my backstory. You know, what's the deal? What's the deal with the family drama? And, you know, what's the deal with this? Like, why are all these perfect assassins assembling all of a sudden and coming out to kill the mercs? Why? What's happening? Yeah, they do feel like small hooks. I was surprised that Betty was tricked. Hey? No, you weren't? It seemed very, because she was so on the ball with analyzing the whole scene.
But she wasn't tricked.
No,
She found out who it was.
that's true.
She said that the merchant didn't have any reason behind it, but that part is a mistake. But I don't think she was necessarily tricked. I don't think she could have known, because the shopkeeper was trying to kill them.
Yeah, that's true. But there was just more to it.
It's true.
There was someone higher up. There always is.
Yep.
It's a slow build. Nothing wrong with it when done right, and this was done right.
Absolutely.
Hey, I would like to know who is going to be going out and purchasing the other volumes to read. Who's going to be continuing with this series?
I will.
I will be. Nice.
Yeah, I will.
Fantastic, man.
I would say so. Absolutely. I'd like to see where this goes.
I just want to see what more sassy one-liners we have.
I just want to see more Betty. I'll probably get all of them.
Yay, Arya. Volume 2 was shipped yesterday. Nice, Lo. Crosshair has to see if you can find them. Mistrich. Oh, good. I'm really happy to hear this. Make sure you let Mr. Badmech know, because if it wasn't for him, I would not have discovered this.
Thanks, Mr. Badmac.
Thanks, Mr. B. Yeah, the dialogue is really good. Yeah. And that's something that is often, to me, I find that I will nitpick dialogue almost more than any other element of writing in graphic novels, because it can so often feel very, very stilted. And this did not. This felt correct for the story and the genre and the characters.
You got to write properly. What works in panels doesn't necessarily work on film, doesn't necessarily work on stage or real life, but you're right, it can feel stilted because you have such limited...
Yeah, real estate. What's up next? Glad you asked. So the first thing is I'm going to announce the next date, because otherwise I'll forget. I'm really bad. Yeah, dialogue can feel forced, like, they have to make it... Yeah, these were actually... there were some laugh out loud moments. Crosshair, I think we just need to make t-shirts of like a bunch of their one-liners. So the next Punchy Book Club, everybody, is going to be Sunday, October the 1st at 12 p.m.
October 1st.
Yeah. So, Sunday, October 1st at noon.
You don't have
8
FOH training.
No, that's Scott. We share Google Calendar. Nerds. So that is, yeah, because Halloween is the whole month. Exactly. Oh yeah, hold on. I want to look up Changeling holidays. There was something. The next one that we're coming up upon is. There's penance.
Oh, penance.
Look at that, and that's like a fighty.
If penance still exists, yeah, no, yeah. That's
I looked at all of these and I just got really excited.
That's Immortal Vigilance that you've looked up there.
It is. Everybody seems to know something I don't.
It's my old stamping grounds.
Really?
Oh yeah, I was the head storyteller for Werewolf on Immortal Vigilance
No
for
shit.
a little while, and then I quit because that's, well, I've discussed it in RPG Clinic, but it was an unbalanced venue. Turned out I was right, but I only figured that out after I left. Womp womp.
And this is what we're gonna be reading.
That's an Amazon.ca link for everybody there.
Yes.
You will be able to find this on Amazon.com.
But if you're feeling extra Canadian, you can go. So this is, why don't you talk about it, John? Because you suggested it.
I suggested this is Tomboy. Tomboy is actually a comic written and illustrated. At least the first 4 issues were illustrated by Mah Goodwin, who you may also know as somebody who is in the credits for LARPs.
She designed our t-shirts.
She did the comic for
the Noctis comic.
The Noctis comic. Mah is an Eisner-nominated artist who has worked on such comics as Princeless, as well as some other NFL Rush kind of thing. But Tomboy is her first solo appearance. After a few issues, she had to contact one of her former students to do the art for her because she had some medical issues that prevented her from drawing for a while. Thankfully, that seems to have been overcome, but she finished off the series. It's a 12-issue series. We're going to see the first 4 in the trade paperback Divine Intervention. This is a comic that has elements of horror and magical girl. So like Sailor Moon-esque type of stuff, but it's far beyond what you can see from those things. If you are at all interested in horror, really interested in what the Crosshair will think of it, but horror. I'm curious as to know what you guys will think.
Should I read the synopsis?
Sure.
No crime goes unpunished. No criminal walks away. The death of a friend catches 16-year-old Addison off guard, but a chance encounter with his killers on the subway forever changes her life. Crime cover-ups, dirty cops, and magical dead boyfriends consume her life as she's thrust into the vigilante lifestyle, and murder becomes her after-school activity. I'm really stoked because we wanted to read one that was written by a woman. Bada bing, bada boom. It's written by Mah Goodwin, so I'm pretty stoked.
This is horror on the page. We'll see how you feel, Crosshair. We'll see. But
I'm really interested because I feel like I have this somewhere in my email. I think I bought it. I think I have like the PDF. I'm gonna have to track it down. But otherwise, I do prefer reading the paperbacks anyway, so I might just order it.
No.
We're trying our best to examine a couple of different genres and styles. I don't think this is probably going to be the most horror comic that I've read.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Have a look.
Miss Stretch, is it bad? You want to know what all the comments? Well, it's not bad. You should know, Miss Stretch, that a lot of the time I forget that we need to choose a new book.
Oh.
So, for example, when John sat down and I was adjusting the lighting and fixing the sound, he was like, "Okay, so what's the next one you're gonna read?" And I went, "Shit." So John suggested Tomboy, which was a really great suggestion. He brought it up before, and I messaged
Because you were
Cathy, and
specifically
she was
looking
good,
for a female writer.
Exactly. We have a list of other ones that we're definitely going to be looking at in the future, but this seems like a fabulous next one to examine. Planning, exactly. Although I guess if I did what Mistrich is saying, then I would have my shit together.
Well, you have a couple of other ones that are sort of in the back, on the back burner that you'll be able to use if you need to.
Yeah, can you write shit? Shit, the graphic novel.
Everything I write is shit.
Yeah. Not true, which is why we high-fived.
It's true.
No, it's not. Poop the comic.
Poop the series.
Series about...
Poop.
Thank you for the follow, Kaylin. Yeah. Are the Chaos Cats going... Are they? No. Ella's sleeping right here.
No, it's Mistress. As a video note, tab autoplaying. Ta-da!
What did it sound like? Holy crap.
Rat Queens. Good book.
Rat Queens, right? Yeah. I'm very happy with this. Did anybody know? No, I think we covered all that Cathy had to say about it.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, it was a video of a cat playing. Nice. Any final thoughts, everybody? I'm happy I read it. Looking forward to reading more.
Basically, yeah. Sorry that I couldn't dump all over this one, folks.
Can't wait to hear you talk smack about Tomboy.
So, I may have
John's
to...
just a plant in the audience.
No, I may have to recuse myself. I was around during the development of Tomboy. At one point, I was actually slated to help write it.
Oh, yeah.
And then I didn't. And trust me, between the moment where I was on the project and when I was off the project, it changed dramatically. And I'll bring into that once you've actually read it. But I may have to recuse myself from
offering any kind of opinion.
offering huge opinions on it because I'm so...
But maybe you can offer like little tidbits.
Possibly,
Like
yeah.
about the development process.
Well, I can, if you have any questions for the author, I can also certainly feed those to
Ooh,
her.
that would be cool.
Seeing as how she sits across from me at work.
Full hate mode. I'm glad you're not in full hate mode, Bunny.
Thank you for having me on your book club.
Thanks for being here. Thank you. John saved the book club butt today by agreeing to fill in. So I hesitate to thank a hurricane, but if it was not for the hurricane, John would not be here.
Basically, yeah.
Sitting in this chair. So thank you for the flight getting delayed, I guess.
Also, feel better, Cathy.
Yes.
I guess I won't see you again for another 5 hours.
5 hours. Because we're actually just going to go stand in separate rooms until we're ready to start streaming.
So, 5 hours, Changeling the streaming on my Twitch channel. Second episode.
There's still time to catch up on the first one if you haven't.
There's still time.
Otherwise, visit the RPG Clinic wiki. rpgclinic.com. Right?
That's correct.
Right. And catch up, read synopses.
Go see the great
and all
work
sorts of
that
things.
Aria Grace and others have been putting into it.
Yep. People are the best. You guys are the best. Crosshair, thank you for the links. And you know what? Oh, God.
Oh my.
I think it was a long time coming.
Oh my.
That was a beautiful, beautiful salute. So
You will see as a changeling in a few.
you will. You will. And you know, until next
Until next time.
Congratulations, Bunny. Well deserved. And now you have 3 icons next to your name, which is pretty cool. Just stacking.
Gotta get that boom, boom, boom.
Gotta post those
Boom,
links,
boom,
links,
boom.
links. Gotta get some food.
Yeah, that too.
We'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Thank you for joining, everybody.